Well, Muddassar Ahmed is from Muslims Unite for London, which has raised more than £18,000 for victims of Wednesday's attacks. Welcome to you. First of all, can you describe your organisation, how it came into being?
You know, it's something we just set up a few days ago. I was caught up in the attacks. I happened to be in Parliament on the day of the attacks and was told that there was an attack going on, looked out the window, saw a scene of absolute devastation, carnage, felt very afraid, felt very frightened, went home that evening and felt very restless. So I called up a few friends and I said, look, we really need to do something. And it came from a place of feeling very empathetic. You know, if I went through this experience, I can't even imagine how the victims felt. So we called up a few friends, set up this campaign and set up very late at night, and I'm very, very pleased with how well it's done since.
Why did you feel the need to mobilise Muslims in particular?
I felt the need to mobilise everybody to help the victims. You know, I happen to be a British Muslim. The friends that I called up at 1 a.m. also happen to be British Muslims, and we decided that we ought to do this for everyone, because fundamentally what this is, it's an attack on the values that the British Parliament represents and everything that London represents. And one has to remember that extremists on all sides, everywhere, hate what London represents, because it represents something very powerful, coexistence, it represents shared values, and it represents a place where we all get on very well. So what we're really doing is showing that London is going to continue that trend, and Muslims, non-Muslims, everybody are pitching in to help out the victims. And fundamentally, I think that that's been a powerful way of, our campaign has been a powerful way of showcasing this.
How important for you is it to stress that this attack and others of their ilk do not speak for the majority of Muslims? They're not acting in your name.
You know, I think it's patently clear now to most people that criminals are criminals, and they don't speak for anybody other than themselves. And fundamentally, I think this has been shown by the fact that in London now we haven't had a massive backlash. Extremists were hoping to set communities off against each other. You've got fringe figures like Nigel Farage and Paul Nuttall or whatever, and Miss Hopkins of The Sun saying what they normally say, but the vast majority of decent, civilized people generally haven't used this as an excuse to attack different communities, and I think that is something that the extremists are going to be very, very, very unhappy about.
I was listening to a radio phone-in yesterday, and it was specifically trying to glean the opinion of Muslims as regards to the attack, and two callers stood out. One was a woman who was in tears, saying that she didn't know what to say to her own Muslim children, who were saying, these attacks are happening, why is it always Muslims, Mum? And the other was saying for the first time in her life she felt ashamed to be Muslim, even though she bore no sympathies to this particular radicalised element of Islam.
You know, this is precisely the kind of confusion that an extreme small minority of extremists are trying to create. This is how they want people to feel. And I think every time we feel that way, they're winning. You know, every time we feel that there are divisions that exist within society, that Muslims are trying to set society upon each other, or that extremists represent Islam, is a sign that people are winning. And fundamentally, most people recognize that this person had a criminal history, had strong criminal connections, and what he did was basically try to whitewash his crimes by calling them Islamic. He's a criminal, and it's like anybody committing a crime of any sort saying, well, I'm a paedophile because I'm Christian, or I'm doing this because I'm a Buddhist. No, religion has nothing to do with it, and the fact that you're criminal, you're twisted, and you're illogical has everything to do with it. And this is why we've seen such a huge outpouring for our campaign. Our campaign has attracted almost 1,000 individual donors, all of whom who believe in shared values, coexistence, and the fact that we need to protect what we have in London, which is very, very special.
Have you seen any change in the reaction of people, particularly to visible Muslims, perhaps women that wear the hijab, on the streets of London? Has any element of the community said that they feel differently following this attack?
You know, in London, thankfully, there hasn't been any evidence of a major backlash against Muslims, and the extremists who perpetrate this must be very upset about that. Fundamentally, that's because in London, we've avoided the mass hysteria that we're seeing in many parts of Europe, and this is why London's very, very important. London has elected a mayor who's openly Muslim. We have over 1 million Muslims, dozens of mosques, haven't heard of any attacks. Everybody's getting along peacefully, and I know a lot of people can't stomach that, but that's how we want London to be, and that's how London will remain.
And Muslims Unite raised 18,000 in just one day. How do people support you or give to this cause?
Well, we have a Launch Good page. If you Google it, it should come up. We've launched, as you say, over 20,000 actually. We're now up at 22,000. We've had donations from hundreds of individuals, and I've been very, very moved by the response. And we're going to work towards getting the money to the victims as soon as possible.
Muddassar Ahmed, thank you very much for speaking to us.